The following programme contains scenes with coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Books and coffee, that's all I need. Lost in a world of fantasy. Oh, indeed, from sci-fi thrillers to romance tales and horror stories that make me wail.
Hi lovelies, I'm Hermit and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this channel is a reading channel where I share bookish content and reading sprints along with a little smidgen of mental and physical health to thrown in for good measure. You're welcome to stick around and join my cult by clicking that subscribe button below, and while you're at it you might as well hit the like if you feel like it and comment. I love to chat with you. Welcome to my first ever tier ranking video. I'm so excited. I am obsessed with tier ranking videos. So if it wasn't obvious already, today is my first tier ranking video and we will be tier ranking all of the NetGalley books that I read last year, all the ones that I recommend, all of the ones that I don't, and anywhere in between. So without further ado, let's roll the tape. I've themed this with Schitt's Creek in mind. As some of you will know, I am obsessed with Schitt's Creek and it's my favourite TV show. It's probably the only one that I watch consistently all of the time. I do like Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well, and I do like Friends, but Schitt's Creek is my go-to. So let's talk about my tiers. So if I've loved it and I think it's perfect, then it goes in the You're My Mariah Carey section. This is a line by Patrick Brewer. It says this to David. Love them guys so much. Okay, and next I have I like the wine and not the label. This is a line by David Rose, and it's basically like there's really good stuff about this book, but you know, it's like having a good book without a lovely cover, you know, right? And this one, the next one is This Wine Is Awful, Give Me Another Glass by Moira Rose. This is for them books that, you know, you kind of like, but they're not particularly good books. They're maybe just okay, or they're kind of awful, but you love them anyway. You would recommend them to some people, but not all people, that kind of thing. Next we have Trust Me, People Are Not Thinking About You the Way That You're Thinking About You by Alexis Rose. This is for them books that, you know, clearly intended something, but just missed that mark. In some ways quite dramatically, in other ways not so bad. You know, that kind of thing. And then finally we have Roland, Could You Get the Fluff Out? This is a line by Johnny Rose, and it is for them books that I just want to get out of my house because I hated them that bad. Okay, so let's start. Well, I've got all of these books down here. Ignore this one here because this one here snuck in. This one would definitely go in the Roland, Could You Get the Fluff Out? But that I read this year, so it doesn't count. But the rest of them, let's see. Okay, so first we have the Erstwhile Tyler Kyle. Where am I going to put that? I did DNF this one. But I didn't think it was bad. There was things that I wasn't vibing with in terms of the writing style. It wasn't making a lot of sense to me. But I definitely want to come back to this at some point and give it another go because I've heard good things.
Hi, Editing Laura here. Also, I should warn you, this editing is a little rough at times.
It's not quite a You're My Mariah Carey, but yeah, okay. Okay, next we have Call of the Sea, and that is definitely going in the Mariah Carey section. This is by Emily B. Rose, and I just really vibed with this book. It is a sort of Brave meets Little Mermaid situation. It does have fat rep, it does have bisexual rep. I think it was bisexual rep. I'll pop on the screen if I need to correct that, but yeah, it is. There's a lot of rep in there. I really enjoyed the characters, and I've recommended this book to other people who have also enjoyed it. So that's exciting too. Okay, next we have Chrysalis and Requiem. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to put that down here because this was also a DNF. I just hated the writing style. It was choppy. It needed a lot more editing. And I was really disappointed actually because this was one of the books that I was most excited to read when I requested it. So yeah, it's a shame it wasn't for me. Next, we have definitely going in the Mariah Carey section, An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I was so over the moon when I got approved for this one. And I don't know why, because I hadn't really heard anything about it when I requested it. But I absolutely loved it and have since become an S.T. Gibson stan, for sure, hands down. I've read everything, almost everything by them, and absolutely loved every single one. I don't think anything's been lower than a 4-star for me by this author. Next, we have the No Girlfriend Rule. I think I'm going to put this. I think I'm going to put this. I like the wine and not the label because I did really enjoy it. It has got fat rep. It's YA, aimed at a YA audience. It's got characters that are playing D&D. It's got some social commentary happening in there. It was generally a fun time, and I did enjoy the characters really quite a lot. So I would recommend this one for sure. Next, we have The Amazing Kennedy Ryan. Where's this going to go? I think this is going to go here as well because I did really enjoy it, and I think I gave it 5 stars. So although I've put it as my star, like in tallying with my star ratings, in some ways it's not, because I think compared to, I don't know, no, actually it is going in there. It is going in. Mariah Carey, I love it. I love it. There's no two ways about it. Okay, let me tell you why I love it. So I love this for the simple fact that the main character is a strong person, but also has things that people consider weak, but they're not weak. It's just showing the signs of the effects of real life on people. And I feel like Kennedy Ryan really does that really, really well. And it shows up that you can be strong and still have bad days. You can be strong and still deal with anxiety or depression, or not that this character particularly deals with depression, but you can still struggle with things, you know, and struggling with something doesn't affect how strong you are. The strength is in the survival of these things. Okay, next we have A Woman of Pleasure, and this one I think is going here. I'm pretty sure I gave this one 5 stars as well. So yes, it could go in the Mariah Carey section, but I think for me this was quite a tough read. It definitely has some conversations happening, some experiences for the characters that are tough to read. I did really love the writing style, and I think as long as you go in maybe having checked the trigger warnings, or just go in knowing that it's going to be a bit of a tough ride emotionally, I think you'll really get a lot out of this. Did enjoy the writing style a lot. I found the characters very real. They felt very real to me. Okay, next we have The Honey Witch. This, oh, you know what? When I first read it, I would have put it in Mariah Carey, but I think on hindsight, I'm putting it into I Like the Wine and Not the Label, because I did really, really enjoy this. This was the first cozy mystery that I read that had some grit to it. And I really enjoyed that sort of that balance of cozy with a little bit of something, you know, to sink your teeth into, you know. I enjoyed the characters. Surprise, surprise. All the books that I love have characters that I love. So, or love to hate. I don't have to love them, but I do have to really appreciate them in some way, you know. So yeah, but the plot line for this is actually really good as well. So, and it's pretty high stakes for a cozy as well, in my opinion. I love that there's a little bit of magic in there. I love that the magic is so connected with nature. I would quite like a follow-up to this book as well. I'd like to see where these characters go from the end point of this book. Next, we have another one that's definitely going in Mariah Carey. So as you can see, so far, I had a pretty dang good time with NetGalley last year so far, considering I only joined in, I think, at the end of February. Yeah, so I haven't even had a full year of reading NetGalley books yet, but I've been pretty dang lucky, honestly. I haven't had any major duds. Well, okay. Oh, I think we can count Chrysalis and Requiem and Mischief Night Massacre. Definitely. If there was an even worse one than this one, it would go in that. I genuinely hate that book. Fathomfolk by Eliza Chan. I just think it's a really unique. Yes, I've connected with the characters for this, but I think the world is unique because it takes place above the like on land as well as under the sea. And I think I don't think I've ever seen that in a book. I'm sure there is maybe books out there that I just haven't read or come across yet. But for me, this was the first experience of reading a book that has parts of it under the sea and parts of it on land. Oh, I'm lying. Call of the Sea. Call of the Sea also does that. Interesting. Maybe that's a thing I like. But the difference between these two is that there's some stakes in Call of the Sea, but they're stakes for the individuals in the book, whereas Fathomfolk has high stakes for the individuals, but it's also high stakes for the world itself. So yeah, I don't know, if you want something that you can really dive into and like fully immerse yourself and have all of the feelings, Fathomfolk is the one. If you want something that's a little bit that leaves you just feeling really warm and fuzzy inside, Call of the Sea is the way to go with these two. Next we have Hell Followed With Us. Nope, that's not going there. That is going in I Like the Wine and Not the Label, for the simple fact that I really love this, and I'm pretty sure it definitely was a 4 to 5 stars and maybe somewhere in between. But I found myself a little confused at times with this writing style. I loved it overall. I really gelled with the plot and the characters. I got really mad at certain points because of what the characters are being put through. And what made me mad is that I know that people in real life are going through this stuff. And it just, I don't know, it just leaves you feeling a little bit sick, but in a way that makes you want to change the world. And I think books that have that power just are something special. Dang it, that's going to have to go up. That's going to have to go up, isn't it? Because it's got that X factor. Okay, next we have Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. I'm very hit and miss with Megan Miranda, and this one I didn't mind actually. I think I can see a lot of people enjoying this one, and I think actually this might have ended up being a B&K Book Club pick, if I remember correctly. I'll have to check. There was a couple of moments where I was just like taken out of the story because it was just a little bit too far-fetched for me. And I actually quite like a far-fetched story, but it kind of has to be far-fetched all the way through, if that makes sense, for me to not lose the connection with the story. Whereas this was like far-fetched in moments that like took me out of the story. So I don't know. I feel like this has definitely got its audience. I didn't hate reading it, but I think I would recommend it to people that maybe are new to thrillers, thriller/mysteries. I think you have to like that, them random elements of like, whoa, when it makes your face do that. If you like that, this is for you. Okay, next we have an interesting one, Murder Road by Simone St. James. No, that's not going. Although that could go there. I really enjoyed this, and it was the first book by this author that I've read. I don't know. See, if I'm just going on how much I liked it, I'd put it here. But if I'm putting it on how I think other people will take it, I'd put it here. So let's put it here, and I'll tell you why. So I really enjoyed this. I vibed with this really well. This has some, like Daughter of Mine, it has some moments that are a little bit, what? But for some reason I gelled with this a lot more. And I think it's probably just that I gel with the writing style a little bit more. I didn't like the characters in this one. I thought they were a little bit spineless, and I quite like at least one strong character. Although actually there was one character, the person who owns where they stay, they are quite a strong character, and I quite like them. But the main characters just not really for me. I feel like I've heard quite a lot of negative reviews of Murder Road for some reason. For that reason, I think that it's kind of, people are not thinking about this book the way that this book is thinking about itself, you know? So yeah, I think I'm happy to leave that there. Okay, Hera by Jennifer Saint. Now, I love, that's going there. I love Greek mythology, okay? I really have a great time a lot with Greek mythology retelling. This did not hit for me. It did not keep my attention, and I read this of the Goddess Complex. It was also the Sibs Book Club pick, and I could not tell you much about it now. And it's a retelling, so I've read other books that have these characters. Can't tell you a thing. Can't tell you a thing. Okay, next we have Disobedience. This one, oh, okay. This one is interesting because I think I'm going to put that here for the simple fact that I really, really enjoyed this one. However, I don't think that it is kind of one of them books that I could recommend to anyone and everyone. You definitely need to like horror for a start, but more of the psychological and a little bit of the, you know, you have to have a little bit of a strong stomach with this one. How do I describe this? Okay, so the story was a little bit choppy in that it would tell you a bit and then it would jump to a different time, and then it wasn't really a different time. It was it would jump to different thought processes, and it takes you a little minute to acclimatize. It isn't the easiest book to get into, shall we say, but if you persevere with it, it is such a good time. Like, yeah, I feel like if you've got the patience for that beginning bit, I think you'll really like this one. If you want to see more of my thoughts on that, all of these books have reviews on my story graph. Some of them will be on my Goodreads too, but I didn't join Goodreads until September time. Suzume, definitely going top tier. Mariah Carey, love Suzume. I watched this movie when it first came out at the Pictures a couple of years ago and was obsessed straight away. So then when I saw that the comic, the first volume of the comic was coming out on NetGalley, I was like, yep, I'm applying for that. And then I nearly wet myself when I was approved. I love the art style. I love the characters are so funny. And I love that there's characters that, how can I put this without giving too much away? They shapeshift. And yeah, there's some definitely good comic moments. There's some sad moments. But overall, I think it's a really happy story in a way. I don't know. If you read this or read this in the future, feel free to talk to me about this one because it makes me happy. But when I think about the plot, it's kind of intense. So I don't know if I'm a bit messed up for feeling happy. Okay, next we Speak Through the Mountain by Premi Mohammed. I'm going to put this one here. This is the second, I think it's a duology. So I got this not realising it was the second in the duology. So then obviously was approved for this and realised then at that point that I would have to go back and read the first one. I really enjoy this overall as a duology. I think it's really strong. I enjoy the writing style. I enjoyed the world. It is post-apocalyptic. So it's following people that have survived, and it's hundreds of years after the event. So it is there is this like school, the one school that's left that nobody really knows a lot about, and there are rumours that you get into this school and you're never seen again. But a character in the main character in this duology wants to go to this school, and it follows that journey of getting into that school and how that affects the people around her in her village, but also her journey to that school and what happens. And it is super interesting, but also you kind of have moments where you really root for that main character, but then you also want to know what's happening. So it's like you kind of want her to get into trouble so that you can see what the deal is and then get her out again, you know. That's what you're kind of hoping for, which is really I don't think I've ever experienced that with any other story. Like, you know, people are going to get into trouble, but you're just rooting for them not to be. usually, whereas this was different. There was enough intrigue about what's going on that you kind of want to see, and you will risk that main character for it. I put Primi Mohammed on my author backlist challenge for this year. I haven't talked a lot about my author backlist. It featured a little bit in my book journal setup video during Book and Annie, but other than that, I haven't really talked about it. So if you're interested in my author backlist challenge, then let me know, and I will plan a video for it. Next, we have The Poisons We Drink. I was super excited for this because I heard some mixed reviews, but I didn't click with the characters for a start. There were some really lovely moments and some really interesting moments, but I realized later that the biggest reason why I wanted to love this video was this book. We're obviously going to love this video. Click the like button below. Okay, so The Poisons We Drink. The reason I realised that I picked this up was because there is a non-binary character, and that character is also the main love interest. And I was really intrigued to see that because I don't see it very often in fiction, and I'm hoping to see more of it in the future. I did quite like the character in this book that was non-binary, but not well enough, unfortunately. And they didn't feature enough. I honestly thought that, okay, they weren't the main character, but I thought being the love interest, they would have a bigger role somehow. And at points that was true, but generally speaking, it was very insular to the main character. And I think because it's YA, but also it feels YA, an Intrigue of Witches. This could go in either of these. Okay, I'm going to put it here for the simple fact that I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars. I think I put it on my favourites overall list. I don't think it made my top 10, but I did really enjoy this. But it's just, I'm missing parts of it in my memory, and I think it just doesn't have that longevity to make it into top tier. You know, I definitely recommend checking this one out. It obviously has witches in it. It has some really interesting family dynamics happening as well. And yeah, the plot was pretty consistently good, and I didn't see certain things coming, which I really liked. I mean, it doesn't spoil a book if I can see things come in. It tends to go in more of the comfort read if I can see things come in. But if it surprises me, that's more of a when I'm wanting a bit of a thrill, you know. But obviously, you know yourself and what your reading taste is. If you're someone who enjoys not necessarily seeing things come in, this is definitely one to check out. Next, we have The Black Hunger. This is definitely top tier, definitely. It is vampire-y, it is a historical setting. It's all the things that I vibe with at the moment, and I really, really enjoyed the writing style of this one. It felt a little bit, it had some similarities in writing style to S.T. Gibson, but obviously it's a different author, it's Nicholas Pullen. But there was just something that made me have similar feelings. So I think if you like S.T. Gibson's work, then you're probably going to enjoy this too, especially if you're a vampire story person. To me, it was like vampires if they really existed, you know? In my mind, they do. But I know in the real world, they probably don't. No, okay, fine, they don't, okay? But if they did, this is what they'd be like. Withered by A.G.A. Wilmot. I think I'm putting that there. I was super excited for this one, and I don't know, this one ended up on my TBR so many times last year, and then didn't end up reading it until near the end of the year. I ended up buying a physical copy of this. There's a few of these that I bought physical copies of just because I felt bad that I hadn't reviewed them before the date of release, or because I loved them that much that I wanted a physical copy. Fathomfolk I might have even put on my unread list because I have the physical copy that I haven't read yet. I can't remember. Anyway, Withered, I was super excited for. The description of it was right up my alley. It's a bit of a haunted house situation, but to be honest, I found it a little bit confusing and not in the way that I like to be confused. And granted, I am easy to confuse. I will put that out there. If you're a little bit sharper than me, you might not have this same problem. So that's why it's going here, because I know that there's an audience for this book. I know that for a fact. There was enough about it that I could see that, and I would recommend it. If you read the description and think, yeah, okay, I'm intrigued, I would recommend giving it a go, because there's absolutely going to be people that love this. Next, we have The Monster in the Mirror, straight to top tier, not even thinking about it. This book made me cry my heart out for the simple fact that I have never felt more seen. This book is a non-fiction about the author has a serious mental illness, as do I, and it's about how they navigated through teen years, through childhood, through every stage of their life until the point of writing this book, how they've navigated it, how they've asked for help, how they've not asked, how they've self-medicated at times, how they've self got themselves through things, how they've learnt about their condition, how they've identified the flaws in the system, but also have started working towards trying to help make them flaws disappear, and helping people in similar situations, but also being able to have someone who has as serious a mental illness as mine. It's a different one, but it's as serious. See their struggles, see how they've managed to navigate and find a support system and therapy and medication and correct diagnosis, which is super important too. It was just really inspiring, and I feel emotional just thinking about it again. I highly recommend this to anyone, whether you've got a mental illness or not. Probably especially to people that don't have mental illnesses, because this will help you understand things in a different way. But it's also super interesting. It doesn't feel necessarily like you're reading a non-fiction, which I think is important, because I think sometimes non-fiction falls into the trap of being info. They are obviously info heavy, but in such a way that you feel like you're in a classroom, which if you like that, great, but I think this would appeal to people that want to have that element of entertainment as well. Okay, next we have A Dark and Drowning Tide. Get the fluff out. This I am super disappointed with. I bought the special edition of this. I have beautiful sprayed edges, and I am giving it away. I am. It's happening. I didn't DNF this. I managed to persevere, because there was a reason why I needed to persevere. I can't remember what it was, but because it was for NetGalley, and I do try really extra hard to persevere with NetGalleys, but also I think there was another reason. Was it a buddy read? I can't remember. Not that you have to persevere with a buddy read, but I think when you're reading with other people, you do try to a little bit more. I did not vibe with this writing style. There's so many things that should have been a hit for me. I love a bit of whimsical. I love a bit of fairy tale vibes. I love mysterious plots. I love everything that this book promised to give, and none of it hit. Moonstone by Laura Purcell. I'm going to put here. I really love this. This is one of my favourites. I love Laura Purcell as an author. I've read a few of her works. It is gothic. It is this one's a little bit different to her normal style in that it's werewolf. There's werewolves, although they're not called that in this, but that's the feeling I get from it. It is her first YA work, but again, this worked for me because it didn't feel too YA. It felt more new adult to me, which I think works really well for me. It's not too angsty as well, which, as I've already said, I'm not big into reading high angst. There are some stakes in this. Next we have 50 Shades of Gorgasaur. This one is Vanessa from Read with Dr. B's fault, by the way. I'm going to put this, I'm going to put this here. You know what? It was a fun time. It was a fun time. It's not going to be for everyone. It's a very short, sharp read. There is some level of fat phobia happening in there. There is the whole pretty people thing. But honestly, as long as you don't go in expecting a great life-altering experience, then you'll have a fun time. It is very smut heavy, but you shouldn't expect anything less with this. It is dinosaurs, which is why I got it, because I love dinosaurs. I'm not sure that I love them as much as the main character of this book does, but it was definitely a fun time. The Monsters in Our Shadows is going here. I do think it's got its audience. I wasn't really it. I think I gave it a slightly higher rating than it deserved, honestly, because the second half of the book was actually pretty good. I was really drawn in by the description of this, but for some reason, it just didn't pull it off in the way that I wanted it to. This follows, there is a plague on humanity, where they have this monster that attaches themselves to them. It just sort of follows them around for a while, and then at some point it becomes too strong and devours them. And this guy that thinks of himself as Death is the person that is supposed to meet this person when it's about time to happen, and just be that calming influence in the last moments of their lives. The first few pages started off real strong, but this kind of drew me in the first few pages, and then I don't know what happened. There was that sort of middle to second, third bit that just was not it for me, and then it finished quite strong. So I don't know if it is something that could have been fixed in editing. I'm not sure, to be honest. There was some interesting twists, but the way, like, it was kind of one of them things that I didn't really get the twist at the time, and it took me thinking about it more afterwards. Swordcrossed is going here. It was cute, fun time, really enjoyed it. I don't think it's for everyone. I think this counts as a YA, but I think it will suit people that don't necessarily read a lot of YA. Honestly, I can't remember a lot about it now, which is a shame because I think I did quite enjoy it at the time. Next, we have How to Solve Your Own Murder. I think I'm putting that in the middle as well. I enjoyed this one. I do really vibe with mysteries. Generally speaking, as a genre, I do really enjoy them. I like that they're a little bit more focused on the mystery element, and not like with thrillers, for instance. Obviously, they're supposed to be thrilling, you're supposed to be like, oh, fast paced and whatever. With mystery, I like that little bit more laid back, little bit more character study situation that happens with mystery. I don't think this is the strongest mystery I read last year, but I did really enjoy it. Maybe this is good for new to mystery people. This might be good for younger mystery readers. This might be good for someone who's just wanting a bit of a palate cleanser mystery. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Next, we have Confession, and this one, where's this going? I think I'm putting that there. This one was, I was given the heads up on this one by Livia from Livia Crafts and Books. Anyone that I've mentioned will be in the description box below. Please feel free to go check them out. But this one was given to me as a heads up. I'll check this out. It was a read now, I think. It is a horror, either graphic novel or manga. I think it's graphic novel, actually. Anyway, it's in an isolated setting, snowy, in the mountains, two hikers stuck together. Is one of them a murderer? Maybe. You'll have to read it to find out. The Spellbook Library. I was so excited for this cute time, and it's going here. It wasn't that great. It was cute. I won't be continuing the series though. It was cute, but also had high stakes. So I don't know, it didn't have enough of the library stuff for me. It was set in a library, and some of the challenges were around these books, but I don't know, there just wasn't enough of the library stuff for me. What more do I want, really? Maybe that's a ridiculous statement, to be honest, but that's just how I feel, okay? And my feelings are valid. Next we have Thirst. This is all going there. Very close to top tier, though, very close. This is another vampire story. No, screw that. It's going in top tier. It's another vampire story. I love a vampire story. What can I say? This is a very female rage kind of vibe, but it's such a good time. Death at the Sanatorium by Ragnar Johnson. Going here. I did enjoy it. At the time, I was very engrossed in it, but it was more one of them afterwards. I don't know, it just hit a little flat afterwards. In the moment, I felt like I was really vibing. This is, perfection here. But the memories of it have dwindled. And I didn't read it that long ago either. I could potentially reread it though, which is a positive for sure. The Mystery Writer by Solari Gentile. I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I loved it. I thought it was such a fun time. I thought that it's set in Australia with Australian characters, and honestly, that is something that I haven't read enough of. I loved the banter, the humour of it was really good, but also the mystery had me. It just had me. And although I did work out some elements of it, overall, it did a pretty good job of pulling the wool over my eyes, honestly. I really gelled with the writing style of this one. And I have also put this author on my author backlist challenge for this year, based solely on this book. So it kind of has to be top tier for that reason. Okay, we're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. Xmas Break by J.E. Rowney. I was excited for this one. This was another heads up from Livia, actually, because I asked for some Christmas mystery thriller horror sort of recommendations. I wasn't feeling the Christmas romance so much this last year, so I wanted something a bit darker. I love the cover of this. I loved the premise of this, but it was just way too predictable. And the writing wasn't that great either, to be honest. In my opinion, I thought the characters were whiny, annoying. I thought that the plot was just way too predictable. I didn't get the creepy vibe. I did in the very beginning, but the creepy vibes just disappeared on me. And I wanted creepy vibes. I wanted to be creeped out, okay? Next, we have The Vengeance. We're going to finish strong here, guys. We're going to finish strong here. 5 stars. Would recommend this. Check it out. Emma Newman is a fantastic author. This is so intricately weaved. I honestly don't even know where to begin with explaining this. I would tell you very strongly that reading the description of this one will not ruin anything for you, because it gives you enough to be intrigued, but there's enough in the arc of the story to divert. You forget certain things and then you're reminded of them and you're like, oh my god, how did I forget that? There's enough twists, there's enough about the characters that you root for them, but also suspect them and are ready for things to go south. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's so good, honestly. Definitely check this one. Anything in this top tier, please, please, please check out. If you've read them already, feel free to let me know in the comments. Any of these, actually, just let me know your thoughts on any of these books. If you're intrigued by any, if you've added any to your TBR, any of the things, I want to know it all, because I've had such a great time with NetGalley, and honestly, I would recommend NetGalley to anybody, any reader that wants to really experiment with what they like in books. it's a great place to do that, because obviously you're getting these books for free, so it's saving you money, but obviously also it's giving you a chance to read things. And then if you still love them, you can still buy the books, can't you, and support that author again. Make sure that you're putting your reviews in though, guys, because I have noticed that there are some people that do like a standard sentence, thank you for the opportunity to review this book for my honest opinion, and then that's it. There's no honest opinion attached. I know some people don't like putting negative reviews in, but even a negative review is helpful to readers, because the reviews are for the readers, not for the authors as such. It's so that the right people can find the right books. So don't worry about it. It's fine. And authors shouldn't be reading these reviews, honestly, as a general rule, in my opinion. So yeah, welcome to my TED Talk. Finally, we have, and this is controversial, my loves, but it's top tier, Sociopath by Patrick Gagney. This is a book, it's a non-fiction, it's a memoir. It is written by a sociopath, someone who is diagnosed a sociopath. You will learn what sociopathy actually is compared to what we think it is. Some of these elements are accurate, what we think, to what they are. And this author will clearly tell you what to expect from a sociopath in terms of, okay, they're not going to feel it. They're not going to feel it inside. They're not going to care if you're sad. They're not going to care if you're hurting in any way. But that doesn't mean they're going to do things bad. They can still learn to be good, helpful people. And this author is a perfect example of that, in my opinion. Okay, I know a lot of people are scared of sociopathy and psychopathy. I know there's reasons to be from some people, but there are bad people in every part of society. So the fact that some people are bad and also happen to be sociopaths, that is coincidental. The two things one doesn't beget the other. And this, to me, is very important, because although I'm not diagnosed with sociopathy, I am diagnosed with a mental illness that people have very negative opinions of. Some of these opinions are earned by some people that also have this diagnosis. But these mental illnesses do not mean that you are a bad person. And this is something that I have struggled with my whole entire life, and still do, and probably always will. I do think of myself as a bad person, even though I try so hard every single day to do the best job I can of being a good person. And that's all you can ask from anyone. And yet I hold myself to a higher standard, partly because I think of this mental illness badly, but also because society thinks of this mental illness as meaning that I'm a bad person. And it's so important to me for people to see that it isn't as clear cut as all that. I can say or do bad things, yes. I am not a bad person. I need to remember that every single day. I need to remind myself of that every single day. And I think a lot of people have to remind themselves of that every single day. A lot of people have these diagnoses. A lot of people have mental illness, and have serious mental illness, that they don't talk about because they are scared of people's reactions. I refuse to be scared in that way anymore, and I hope that means that other people have a safe space with me to be able to do better for themselves, but also for the people around them. That's always a goal. Whether or not I achieve that, I don't know, but you can try, right? That was a bit of a TED Talk again. Sorry about that. I feel really strongly about this topic, obviously, and I hope that people read these books. I hope that people read Sociopath. I'm not saying that you should ignore the danger signs in a person, but I am saying that you should think about how you blanket view people with certain diagnosis. I would really hope that people read these books, The Monster and the Mirror, Sociopath. Both are really, really strong examples of people that are brave enough to step out, be who they are, keep trying to be better people, as everyone does, but while also sharing vital information that will help society move forward. It's really important, guys. If you do one thing today, just check these books out. Just check them out. That's all I ask. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me this long. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to edit it and upload it today. So if it's midnight tonight that this gets uploaded, we know it's going to be a long one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to share it with friends. And love you, bye.
Bye, love you.
Let's roll the tape. Hello. Hello. Okay. Okay. Okay, where's my phone? Oh, there. Fuck you. Join my cult then. Let's roll the film. Let's roll the tape. It's not quite a You're Mine, Mariah. You're... I know I'd written it wrong. And now I've got something in my eye. Eye snots. How have I still got eye snots when I've washed my face already? Why does that say Alexia? Will I stoop any lower? We'll just ignore that, it's fine. And also the hair. What's going on? What is this life?
I'm a book hermit, part of the BookTube crew, sharing my thoughts, connecting me and you. With every page a new adventure awaits, a community bound by the love we create. Grab a cup of joe.